There is a string of activity going on that we've not seen this kind of concentrated activity in the area.
News, you know, just real hard breaking news on the high school.
Great breaking news on the high school sports scene. And let's start off with Highland and the basketball coach, Jim Delmar, out, Paul Latino in, Paul Latino out.
Well, it's a very strange situation, certainly. Tuesday, September 29th, so just just a couple of days ago, the job posting had closed. So they will have a girls basketball coach, and it will be voted on by the board fairly soon. But the backstory is the one that's most intriguing. Why the board decided they didn't want Jim Delmar anymore, who had won 5 sectional titles in the last 7 years, is beyond me. I'm sure it's beyond you too. Paul Latino did accept the job when he was voted in by the board, and then resigned. And we had printed the story that he resigned because he did not receive any support from the board or the superintendent, because they didn't come out and say, look, it wasn't over the clause in the contract that says, teachers, with more of an enforcement on the Taylor law, which basically says district employees can get first crack at stipend jobs or unit jobs. Right. So it's a very strange situation. I mean, I don't know what your read is on it. My read is there's 2 things, and neither one of which is very good. One, the board is completely out of touch with the community, which, the school board is supposed to have the pulse of the community. Or 2, there's a lack of transparency there about why they decided to remove such a winning, successful coach.
Yeah, there could be something behind the scenes that we don't know about, that they don't want to talk about, which would be unfortunate if that's the case. And that's probably, from my vantage point, the only reason I could think, why would you get rid of Jim? The Taylor law, you could take a look at that and say, well, maybe that's why. Right. Paul Latino said that he doesn't want the job unless it was vacant. And that might have been subliminally in somebody's mind saying, oh, that's how we get Paul. Right. We make it vacant and then we can get Paul. But to Paul's defense, he wasn't pushing anybody out. He wasn't trying to take it over. Right. He's had great success over the years. If you know Paul Latino, you know what I'm talking about. He's just that kind of a good guy, all about the program. He's always been about the kids and what's right for them. Right. And I think what happened was the outpouring of whatever, all the comments that were going through social media, he just said, you know what, I don't need this. And the board, as you said, wasn't supporting him in any way. Right.
And again, I just can't emphasize enough. It's either that they didn't care, or that they didn't have a true pulse of the community to get a sense of what the feedback was going to be like by removing Jim Delmar. Right. And in essence, that's what they did. They didn't offer him his position back to be voted on by the board, so he was removed. You can split hairs all you want, but the bottom line is he was removed.
Yeah. All right, let's switch over to Marlboro. Another coaching situation. Jen Veronese steps down. What a surprise that was.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised, but listen, Jen's young. She said, or John O'Donnell, the athletic director, said, she just got married, which we both knew, since she came in after her honeymoon as our coach of the year, and she wants to start a family, and she wants to do a lot of other things with her life, and I could understand. I certainly can understand. She's very young, and she's had a tremendous amount of success.
It's going to be interesting to see who takes over that program, but she was perfect for that program.
Yeah, absolutely. She was a star at Arlington. She was a star in college. She was a great coach, good rapport with the kids. I actually asked Jonna when we broke the story. She said, well, I'm just going to get the best coach available. And I said, what if you're the best coach available?
That's right. Yeah. Did you come out of retirement?
There was a long pause, and she just said, I'm not even thinking about that right now. You can't get much better than that.
Yeah, right. Okay. Poughkeepsie High School. What's going on there?
Well, it's an unfortunate situation. They've had a couple of let's call them miscues. First with the whole video thing, in which they made a kind of a rap video in the locker room. Then they had an incident on the bus. I still think that the superintendent, Dr. Williams, probably overreacted a little bit in forfeiting the game and canceling it and not punishing the player or players who were involved in the incident on the bus. But it was kind of disappointing to see that they came out of 2 weeks off where they had a lot of time to practice and really kind of refine and hone their game, and went on the road and had 59 points scored against them. That's although Cornwall's tough and it's a tough place to play, but You know, we hope that Jerry can turn things around and kind of stay the course a little bit. They've got a tough game coming up against Wallkill, also on the road. Wallkill's homecoming, no less. So it's an interesting time over at Poughkeepsie. There's still a lot of transition going on. Yeah,
and it's an interesting time for Jerry North because, I mean, here's a guy who's really getting tested so early with things that, usually happen in a program when you've been established as the coach for a while, and he's getting hit with everything he could possibly get hit with in his first few weeks.
Absolutely. The only thing they haven't been hit with is the injury bug, which seems to have hit everybody else in the area.
Yeah, and why is that? Why is it there are so many? I see it, on the sidelines, a lot of cramping, a lot of things going on, and I know that that's the dehydration mode kicking in. But are they getting the training and stuff that they need to get beforehand to prevent a lot of these injuries? Because they are preventable.
I talked to Brian Bellino about it. He's the head coach at Roosevelt. Roosevelt's been hit the hardest of all of this. Oh, yeah. Brian actually told me last week when he called in the game that he was going to sit down and meet with his athletic director on Monday. They did come to the decision that they had enough to play. They will not forfeit this Friday's game against Valley Central, so they will play. They do have enough, albeit a lot of young kids. Yeah. And he made a great point about that, which is, I mean, he's got a kid on his team, Tyler Norman, whose dad I went to school with. Great kid, great dad, great family. But as athletic as Tyler is, he's 14.
Well, not only that.
Going up against 17, 18-year-olds.
You're getting kids who are, maybe 120 pounds, 130 pounds, and now they're going up against a 240-pound lineman.
Sure, yeah.
And then there's more injury, and now that's not safe.
Yeah, Brian made an interesting point too. Brian Bellino made an interesting point that. This is on the site in the story if you want to look it up. So I'm paraphrasing here if you want to see his exact quote. But he talked about some things that you never see anymore, and that is young kids playing a pickup two-hand touch game or even a tackle game out there where they can kind of refine their moves a little bit and things like that, so that when they go into high school or organized ball, they really have a sense of what the game is about. He said you just don't see that anymore. Whether that's directly related to the whole injury bug, I don't know, but we lost. Roosevelt toyed with the idea of forfeiting a game because of injuries. Yeah. Dover did forfeit a game because of injuries. Right. We lost. Roosevelt's lost a ton of kids, many of them for the season. New Paltz lost Kumar Singh, unfortunately, to a broken collarbone on the first play of the game 2 weeks ago. It's just I've never seen anything like it, and I've covered. I've covered the Jets and the Giants. Many years ago, of course, I covered Michigan and Big Ten football for several years. I've just never seen anything like this, not just the one team in Roosevelt, but just in our area.
Yeah, it's an epidemic for sure, and I think someone really needs to take a hard look at it and see, are we doing everything possible to make sure these kids are conditioned and ready to go?
Within the school season itself, one sport's flowing into the next. You barely have enough time to catch up and catch your breath before you're moving from football into basketball or from basketball into baseball or so on. But you do have a couple of months by the time school ends before football starts again. Yeah. Whether that has anything to do with it, I don't know. Teams are going to camps. They're doing a lot of things. They're doing the passing scrimmages.
So you think maybe they're doing more than we used to do?
Well, I mean, I know that they're doing more over the summer and during the off season, but you have to wonder: is it are they getting a full workout in before they start actual official practice in August? Does that have anything to do with it?
Maybe they're just pounding themselves a little bit too hard, maybe. Because of all the constant activity, where we didn't have all that activity. But they're young, they're resilient, and they should be a little bit more resilient than this. That's why I'm thinking that maybe there's something that needs to be looked at.
Yeah, you talk to any basketball coach, you say to them, well, I have a stretch of 4 games in 5 days. Oh, how are you going to weather that, coach? How am I going to weather it? We've got kids who play AAU who play 4 games in 1 day.
That's right.
So,
well, never a dull moment here in the Hudson Valley for sports, and you'll find all the information that you want to know behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, in the lines, behind the lines, right here on Hudson Valley Sports Report. So we want to thank you for watching. This is the Mashup, and we'll see you inside the lines.